A speech is something that is sent out into a certain community to create an emotional impact.
Because we work harder and smarter than anyone else.
When an actor is speaking or performing in front of the camera, there are written dialogue. He speaks. Where does a spoken dialogue become a speech?
But I'll bet the Japanese didn't like it.
For years, I've been listening to filmmakers gushing about the importance of sound in the films. But to be honest, being an average consumer of films, I've never noticed the technicalities. Music, I did understand a little bit because it's a huge part of our filmmaking culture. But as my interest grew in appreciating films in a better way, I realized that sound is hugely underrated and I wanted to learn more about it. So I decided that I'll learn it from the person who is synonymous with sound design in India, the walking talking textbook of this subject, Padma Shri, Academy Award winner, डॉक्टर रेसल पोकुती।
मैं मेरा फिल्म में कभी भी साउंड सुनाना नहीं चाहता हूँ। I don't want to make people aware of the sound. I am working on a very subconscious level of audience.
Well, the clip that I just played kind of answered my curiosity about why I never noticed sound design in a film. Because the whole point is that it should be so visceral and engaging that you never notice it in the moment. But let me tell you, things are gonna change after this video. I promise you, you will start noticing sound in all the films and appreciate it better. Quick reminder, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like the video if you find it helpful in any way. Now let's deep dive. So I have watched multiple clips and interviews of Resul Pokuty to understand his worldview of sound design. And I've divided this video in 3 parts. Highlights of his career, his battle for live sounds, an example of 2 scenes from his films where we get to see the impact of sound. But for people who are completely new to the subject, let me show you a clip of Resul Pokuty explaining to you what sound design is very briefly. Let's have a look.
See, sound designing is about sound man in a film giving an oral texture to the film, like the way a cameraman gives light touches. So there's spoken dialogue as one element. There are ambiences, there are sound effects that we record and put it together. The production sound which we record during the shooting, which we call the sync sound, is done during the shooting of the film. After the film is edited, we edit the sound that we record on location, then we put it together, then we add ambiences.
Slap different effects onto it.
Yeah, so we create moods, atmosphere.
He has a lot of achievements under his name, but I believe the most prized possession would be his Academy Award for the film Slumdog Millionaire in the year 2009.
When I did Slumdog, probably the best compliment that I heard about Slumdog is people have come up to me and said they could smell Bombay, and I think that came from the sound.
Award actually opened a lot of gates for him. It was followed up by his honorary doctorate degree in the field of sound design, the Padma Shri Award, and a lot of path-breaking film projects, including India's first 3D motion capture film, Koche Dayan. But the one where Resul really pushed the envelope was his invention of the technology called 4D SRL for the film 2.0. The SRL stood for the director Shankar, Resul himself and Laika. Normally where the Dolby Digital system uses 45 to 60 speakers, the 4D SRL format that was placed in Satyam Cinema in Chennai used 634 speakers. Every alternate seat was outfitted with speakers, creating a moving effect. Now why this particular invention is more special is because it's India's contribution to the world of sound design, which is a rare thing in itself. So one would imagine that Resul was always this prodigy from FTII who was at the onset of changing the sonic game of Indian film industry, right? Not really. Resul has had his own fair share of struggles in the early days of his career. That brings us to the next segment, his battle for live sound. It was actually him versus the industry in the early days of his professional work. While learning about cinema at FTII, Resul watched a lot of international films and he realized that there is a distinct difference between international films and our films. The international films feel more real and the difference was the sound. and the usage of live sounds in the international films, which was lacking in India.
And when we saw Hindi films, and we realized that there is something missing in the cinema. All other films are close to life. It's as if it is happening in front of you. You get absorbed in it. It's the way sound is done in those films, not anything else. We have our kind of cinema, but they have their kind of cinema. But both are reflections of life. But why I get distracted in Hindi cinema? I realize it's the way sound is done in those cinema. That is what I wanted to change. And that is why I decided that I would do only live sound in the Hindi cinema.
Now, the historical reason behind the lack of live sound in India was that we started shooting abroad a lot in the 1960s. And because we had to carry a lot of equipment with us in the planes, it was difficult to carry the audio equipment. So filmmakers used to record audio later in the studio, and that actually eradicated the usage of live sounds in Indian films. That tradition stayed forever. But Rasool created this space for himself in the industry where he could actually demand the mandatory terms of using live sounds and still sustain in the industry, because there was a need for his expertise. Years later, now actually he could be proud of the legacy that he has created with far more superior usage of live sound in the industry. I'm not saying that he alone brought about this change, but he was the first one who actually went against the industry, putting his own work opportunities at risk and actually bringing a cultural shift. It's commendable. Now, to understand the impact that he creates with the usage of sound in his films, let's look at two scenes and break it down from his filmography.
When I was doing a film like Black, I was posed with the question that what is this character listening? Like the character of Rani Mukherjee, who is deaf and dumb. What is that she's listening? Does she hear anything? So I was just going with this guy who was a deaf and dumb person with us. When we reached near the aircraft, when the whining sound of the aircraft, so we asked them, what did you hear? They said we heard like a sound.
जो मिशेल और आप दोनों को नहीं जानती. She will interpret. Ah, there she is.
Now let's listen to what Rasool did in the climax of the film Blue.
A film called Blue, where the climax of the film was happening about 200 meters below the seabed. So as the climax progresses in 45 minutes, from a 550 meter, it goes down to 200 meter. I never been to 200 meter. What do you do in a situation like that? You start imagining things. This is how it's going to be in 200 meter on the seabed. This is how it's going to be sounding. So my best way of winning you is that make you feel that is the only possible sound there. There couldn't have been any other sound but this.
The amount of details that go into telling a story on the big picture is massive. It's like these micro muscles, working together for you to be able to move a limb, but you never get to notice it. Through this video and all the other videos on my YouTube channel, I want people to actually be more aware of this beautiful art and equally engage with it. It has taken me a huge amount of efforts to put this together and compile this for you. If you have enjoyed this video, please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and please hit the like button so that I can keep bringing these videos to you all. Thanks for watching.